The alien market on Velrix 7 was full of noise, strange smells, and flashing lights. Aliens from many worlds traded spices, crystals, tools, and strange animals. But one human, named Jace Miller, walked slowly through the crowd. He was not here to buy or sell. He was only passing through, looking for food and maybe a quiet place to rest. He kept his head down. The tall, bug-eyed aliens didn't like humans much. They thought humans were too wild, too emotional, too dangerous. Jace didn't care. He just wanted peace. Then it happened. Screams tore through the market. People ran in every direction. Blaster shots burned through the air. A group of masked raiders crashed into the crowd, knocking over stalls and stealing everything they saw. Jace turned, ready to run, but then he saw her. A young alien girl had fallen to the ground. Her purple robes were ripped and her knees were bleeding. She was trying to crawl away, but one of the raiders raised a weapon to strike her. Without thinking, Jace rushed forward, but he had no weapon. That's when he saw it. An old sword half buried in the dirt beside a stone pillar. The blade looked ancient, covered in dust and sand. No one had touched it. It was stuck in the ground like it had been waiting for years. Jace grabbed the handle. Everyone in the market turned and gasped. The sword glowed bright silver in his hands. He didn't understand why. It felt light, like it belonged to him. The raider attacked. With a single swing, Jace blocked the weapon and knocked the alien back. The sword moved smoothly, almost like it was guiding his hands. The other raiders backed away in fear. More people watched from behind broken stalls. No one moved. No one spoke. The alien girl stared up at him, eyes wide. Her lips trembled. You picked it up," she whispered. Jace helped her to her feet. "Are you okay?" She didn't answer. She just kept looking at the sword in his hand like he had done something impossible. Suddenly, a group of armored guards arrived. Their eyes went to the sword, then to the girl, then back to Jace. "Put that down," one of the guards said sharply. "I was just trying to help," Jace replied, confused. "You don't understand," another guard said. "That sword belongs to Clan Velrix. No alien or human has lifted it in over 500 years. It chooses its bearer. I didn't know—" "You've just claimed the guardian blade," the guard interrupted. "By our law. You must marry the clan heir." Jace froze. "What?" The alien girl's voice was soft. "It's true. You saved me. You lifted the sword. Now you are tied to me. Forever." Jace looked around. The raiders were gone. But now something worse had begun. The crowd had changed, no longer afraid. Now they looked at Jace with something else. Expectation. He turned to the girl. "Who are you?" "My name is Leora Velrix," she said. "Daughter of the High Matron, heir to the clan." She stepped closer and touched the sword still in his hand. Her touch made it glow again. Jace pulled his hand back. "I didn't mean to take anything, I just wanted to help." Leora nodded slowly, but her face looked sad. "And by helping, you took everything." Before he could reply, the guards surrounded him. One placed a hand on his shoulder, not rough but firm. "You will come with us," he said. "The bonding ritual must be prepared." As Jace walked with them, still holding the glowing sword, he felt the weight of it now, not in his arms, but in his heart. What had he just stepped into? Jace sat quietly in the grand hall of Clan Velrix, but his heart was racing. Stone walls rose high around him, covered in glowing vines and ancient carvings. Alien guards stood like statues near the door. The air smelled like burning incense and metal. Across from him sat Leora, the alien girl he had saved. She wore a clean robe now, soft violet with silver trim, and her wounds had been treated. Her long dark hair shimmered under the torchlight. But her face, it was unreadable. He finally broke the silence. "This has to be a mistake." Leora didn't look at him. "It's not. I only wanted to help you," Jace said again. "I didn't know about the sword." I didn't know it meant marriage. Leora's voice was flat. The blade doesn't care what you know, it chose you. A door creaked open. 3 elders entered the room, their faces marked with golden tattoos. One of them carried a small glowing orb that floated above his palm. The moment he stepped closer, the orb turned white and pulsed gently. He looked at Jace with narrowed eyes. It is true, the elder said. The blade accepted him. The bond is sealed. Bond? Jace stood up. I didn't agree to this. I didn't even know your customs. The elder's face darkened. Do you think our customs wait for your permission, outsider? Jace clenched his jaw but said nothing. He looked at Leora again. She still wasn't looking at him. Another elder stepped forward. If you truly reject the bond, there is a way out. Jace felt hope spark. Tell me. The elder's voice was cold. She dies. What? Jace took a step back. Why? The guardian blade may only be lifted in defense of the heir, the elder said. If the chosen warrior denies the bond, the clan sees it as betrayal. She will be seen as unworthy. Even if she didn't ask for this? Jace asked, shocked. The elder nodded. The sword speaks louder than words. It chose. We obey. Leora finally looked up at Jace. There were tears in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Her voice was quiet. You don't have to mean it, just pretend. For a while. Until they forget. Jace felt something twist inside his chest. This wasn't just about ancient laws. This was about survival. Hers. And maybe now his too. I'll do it, he said. The elders nodded and began to chant in their language. But something strange happened. The sword, still sheathed on Jace's back, started to hum. A low sound, like a deep whisper. Everyone turned. The orb in the elder's hand flickered wildly. The walls trembled slightly. Then for just a second, a ghostly image appeared behind Jace. A figure in old warrior armor. Not human, not alien. Something in between. The elders fell silent. What was that? Jace whispered. The eldest elder looked at him, pale. The last guardian spoke through the blade. It remembers you. Leora stared at him now, truly staring. Not with fear, but something else. Confusion. Awe. You're not just anyone, she said softly. I'm no one, Jace replied. Then why does the sword think otherwise? Later that night, Jace was given a room within the clan's inner temple. Guards stood outside his door. He paced the floor, the sword resting against the wall. Every time he looked at it, his mind swirled with questions. Why did it choose him? Why? Did it react like that? Was it just a weapon or something alive? A soft knock came at the door. It was Leora. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. I need to tell you something, she said. What? She hesitated, then pulled back her sleeve. A mark was glowing faintly on her arm, a symbol that matched the carvings on the sword's hilt. I've seen that symbol before, Jace said. She nodded. So have I, in my dreams, since I was a child. They both stood there quiet. The blade didn't just choose you, she said. It may have been waiting for you. Jace looked at the sword. Then this bond is more than just tradition. Yes, she said, her voice shaking. It's destiny. And outside, in the dark temple halls, someone else was listening. Someone who didn't want the bond to last, or the new guardian to live. The next morning, the sky above Clan Velrix turned a strange shade of green. A storm was building, but it wasn't the kind made by clouds. It was political, silent, deadly. Inside the inner temple, Jace sat in front of a shallow pool of glowing water. It reflected not just his face, but also the sword now resting across his lap. He still didn't understand what had happened. Why the sword had chosen him. Why it had responded to his touch and to Leora's tears. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. It was the signal for the bond ritual. Jace stood. His feet felt heavy. Not from fear, but from the unknown weight of what was about to happen. Outside the chamber, dozens of alien witnesses had gathered. High-ranking warriors, temple leaders, nobles in shimmering robes, all stared as he walked past them, silent. Leora stood at the front of the altar. She wore white ceremonial robes, her arms bare, her long dark hair braided with strands of silver. Her eyes met his, steady but unreadable. She didn't smile. He didn't either. The elder began the chant in the ancient tongue of Velrix. The ritual was meant to bind protector and heir, body, spirit, and oath. But suddenly, a loud blast shook the temple. The walls trembled, the ground cracked, cries rang out. A red flare lit the sky. From the shadows, masked attackers rushed into the sacred hall, throwing shock grenades and firing energy darts. Chaos exploded. Jace reacted fast. He grabbed the sword from the altar. It leapt into his hands like it was alive. Leora tried to reach him, but a collapsing pillar blocked her path. One of the masked warriors lunged at Jace. He moved quickly, striking with the blade. The energy of the sword cut through the air like lightning. One attacker fell. Another backed away in fear. But something strange happened. The sword grew hot in his hand. Not from fire, but emotion. It pulsed like a heartbeat, like it was responding not to danger but to his will to protect. He looked across the broken room. Leora was trapped, fire behind her, enemies closing in. Jace didn't hesitate. He ran, leaped over the rubble and covered her with his body. The sword flared again. A blast of white light shot out, knocking the attackers back like wind from a hurricane. Silence followed. The attackers retreated. The flames died down. The smoke faded. Leora looked up at him, still in his arms. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "You risked everything, even before the bond was finished." Jace helped her to her feet. "Because you needed me." She placed her hand on his chest. "Then the bond is real, even if the ritual failed." He nodded, breathing heavily. "But I don't know what it means." Before she could answer, the elder approached, his robes torn but his eyes burning bright. "You have awakened the living bond," he said. "It no longer needs a ritual. It has chosen. Both of you." Jace looked at Leora. "So we're bonded." The elder nodded. "More than that. The sword has accepted your soul. And now, enemies will come for both of you." Leora turned to him, her expression serious. "I'm not afraid of the bond anymore," she whispered. "But I'm afraid for you." Jace tightened his grip on the sword. "Then we faced them together." But in the shadows, hidden far from the temple, a figure watched through a hovering spy drone. A voice crackled through a communicator. "He's stronger than expected. Activate Plan 2. The Guardian must fall before the prophecy is fulfilled." The temple of Clan Velrix slept under the moonlight. The walls were silent. The guards stood at their posts. Everything looked peaceful, but danger was already inside. Deep in the shadows of the guest quarters, a black figure crawled across the ceiling like a shadow spider, silent, fast, deadly. This assassin was not from Velrix. He came from the Ash, Dagger Clan, ancient enemies of Leora's bloodline. They had waited for years to strike. Tonight was their chance. In the room below, Jace was lying on a stone bed. The ancient sword rested beside him. His eyes were closed, but his mind was not at peace. He had a dream. In it, he stood in the middle of a battlefield. Alien warriors surrounded him, but they didn't attack. They knelt. Then a giant version of the Guardian blade rose into the sky like a tower. A glowing voice spoke from the blade. "You were not chosen by accident, you are the final flame." He woke with a gasp. The room was dark. Too dark. Then he heard it. A soft drip. Not from water. From poison, slowly falling from a sharp needle, above his bed. Jace rolled to the side, just as the poison hissed onto the pillow, burning through it like acid. He grabbed the sword. It lit up instantly, sensing the threat. The assassin dropped from the ceiling, 2 blades in his hands, both coated in red venom. Jace didn't wait. He swung the sword. Sparks flew. The assassin dodged like a ghost, moving fast, striking faster. But every time his blades touched the guardian sword, they bounced off like metal against thunder. Then, Leora burst into the room. She wasn't alone. Beside her floated a small creature, her pet sentry drone. It fired a flash pulse that blinded the assassin for 1 second. It was enough. Jace struck. The sword sliced through the air and knocked the assassin across the room. The attacker hit the wall hard and fell to the ground, stunned but still alive. Guards rushed in seconds later. But something strange happened. The assassin looked up, not afraid, but confused. He stared at Jace's face and said in a trembling voice, You're the one from the vision, the flame bearer." Before anyone could question him, he bit down on something in his mouth. A hiss. Smoke. He was gone. Dead by his own choice. Leora looked shaken. "They're not just trying to kill us," she said. "They fear you." Jace nodded, still catching his breath. "And they know something we don't." The head elder arrived. Soon after, he examined the weapon Jace had used. His face went pale. "The sword burned away the assassin's poison," he said softly. "That blade is waking up." "What do you mean?" Jace asked. "The Guardian Blade has powers no one fully understands. It chooses a protector, but also awakens their true self. It's feeding from your will to protect Leora. That bond, it's growing stronger." Leora turned to Jace. "Then, the attacks won't stop." "No," the elder said. "They'll get worse. Because if the bond completes fully, Leora's bloodline will become unstoppable." Later that night, Jace and Leora stood alone on the temple balcony. Below them, the city lights of Velrix shimmered like stars. But both of them knew. War was coming. Leora whispered, "What are we now? Friends? Bondmates? Weapons?" Jace looked at her, serious but kind. "I don't know what we are, but I know I won't let anyone hurt you." And above them, high in the temple spire, the sword rested in its stone cradle. It hummed softly, awake, watching, waiting. A storm rolled over the mountains near Velrix Temple, silent, no lightning, no rain, just clouds like bruises, spinning slowly in the sky. The wind whispered through the stone corridors, carrying voices no one could hear, but the sword could, and tonight it would speak. Jace sat alone in the temple library. Ancient scrolls and glowing books floated around him. He had asked the elders for answers, but they gave only half-truths and riddles. So now he searched for the truth himself. Leora joined him quietly. She placed a small, leather-bound book on the table. "This was hidden in the matron's chamber," she said. "No one is supposed to read it, not even me." Jace opened it carefully. Inside were drawings of a human man and an alien woman, the same race as Leora. They stood holding the Guardian Blade together. "I've seen this before," Jace whispered, "in a dream." Leora's eyes widened. "Then it's real. The bond has happened before." They flipped through the pages. The story told of a time long before the clans, when humans and her kind lived side by side. A warrior and a princess had joined their souls through the sword. They had peace and for a short time, but jealousy, war, and lies tore them apart. The sword was sealed, waiting for when the bond would return. And now, it had. That night, Jace followed the sword's glow to a forgotten chamber beneath the temple. The walls were made of smooth black stone that hummed softly under his feet. Strange symbols covered every surface, symbols he had seen in his dreams. The sword led him to a hidden altar. He placed the blade onto it. Suddenly, light exploded from the walls. A vision took over his mind. He saw himself, not as he was, but as something more. His body surrounded in light, his eyes glowing. Leora stood beside him in golden armor. They faced an army of shadows together, blades raised. Then the vision changed. He saw the assassin from before, but behind him, a far greater enemy, hidden, powerful, waiting. A voice filled the room. "You are not the first, but you may be the last." Jace stepped back. The vision faded. The sword dimmed, but its hum grew deeper. Then he heard a real voice. Leora. She had followed him. "You saw something, didn't you?" He nodded. "An old war, a forgotten union, a greater enemy." She touched the sword's hilt gently. "I think the sword is showing you what's coming." They stood in silence. Then Jace said quietly, "We're not ready." Leora looked up at him. "But we will be. Together." Later that night, the High Matron, Leora's mother, called for Jace, in secret. She looked tired, older than before. "You are stronger than I expected," she said. "And the sword has bonded with you faster than any record we know." "Why do I feel like there's more you're not telling me?" Jace asked. She sighed. "Because there is." She waved her hand, revealing a secret symbol carved into her palm. Jace recognized it. It matched the sword. "I was the last one to try bonding with the Guardian Blade," she admitted. "But it rejected me. It nearly killed me." Jace stared, stunned. "Then, why did it choose me?" The matron leaned in close. "Because it doesn't choose warriors. It chooses protectors. It chooses love." Jace was speechless. "You have a choice," she said. "Stay and become the true guardian, or run before the real war begins." That night, Jace stood with Leora again on the high balcony. The wind was colder now. He looked at her, not just as the clan heir, not just as someone fate tied him to, but as someone he cared about. "I saw myself in the vision," he said, "with you, fighting side by side." She turned to him. "And did we win?" He smiled softly. "I don't know. But we didn't fall." Above them, the sword pulsed with light. It was no longer just a weapon. It was a bond, a promise. And soon, it would be tested. The day began with silence. No birds, no wind. Even the temple bells didn't ring. Jace felt it first. A chill, not from cold air, but from something deeper. Something wrong. The kind of silence that comes just before a storm. Leora stood beside him, dressed in light armor made from her clan's sacred metals. Her braid was tight, her face calm, but her eyes were alert. "The Ash Dagger clan has moved," she said. "They crossed the stone line last night." "That's a declaration of war?" Jace asked. She nodded. "And worse, they brought others. Broken clans, outlaws, even exiles." Jace gripped the guardian sword on his back. "Then they're not just attacking you, and they're coming for me too." By noon, the temple was surrounded. A sea of warriors in black and red armor filled the cliffs around Clan Velrix. Their ships hovered above like angry insects. At their front stood Lord Carex, the leader of the Ash Dagger clan, a giant alien with silver scars across his face and hate in his eyes. He raised his weapon and shouted, "Give us the outsider! Break the bond, or we burn your temple to the ground." Inside, the elders argued. Some wanted to hand Jace over. Others said to fight, but the matron stood tall and silent. Finally, she turned to Jace. "Will you fight with us?" she asked. Jace looked at Leora. "I'm already bonded to your daughter," he said. "I've already drawn the sword. I'm not leaving." The matron gave a slow nod. "Then the clan will fight with you." The battle began with fire. Missiles crashed into the outer walls. Dust and heat filled the air. Warriors screamed. Lights flashed. Jace moved through the chaos, his sword glowing brighter than ever before. It deflected laser shots. It cut through metal like paper. It moved before he did, as if it knew where to strike before he did. Leora fought beside him, with her twin daggers spinning like a storm. The bond between them wasn't just emotional now, it was physical. When she moved left, he moved right. They protected each other without needing words. But then, betrayal. One of the temple guards, a trusted elder named Tovrak, opened the inner gate. He let in a group of elite ash dagger assassins. They rushed toward the inner chamber, toward the Heir. "Matron," Leora screamed. "Mother!" Jace didn't wait. He chased the assassins, cutting through two before they reached the throne room. But the last one reached the matron and stabbed her in the side. Leora dropped to her knees beside her mother. Blood spilled. The matron's breathing was weak. "I knew the sword was waking," she whispered. "But I didn't know it would be my final day." "No," Leora said, crying. "We'll save you." The matron placed a bloody hand on Jace's shoulder. "Protect her," she said, "not just as a guardian, but as her own." And then she was gone. The battle turned. Velrix, warriors fueled by the matron's death, pushed back hard. They fought with rage and unity. Jace led the charge, sword blazing like a beacon. Even Lord Carrix was forced to retreat, badly wounded by a single strike from Jace's blade. Before leaving, he shouted, "This isn't over, human. The final bond will destroy you both." Jace didn't answer. He stood over the battlefield, breathing hard. The sword now pulsed with white-blue light, humming like a living heart. Leora walked up beside him, her face stained with tears and blood. "The war is not over," she said. "I know," Jace replied, "but now you are more than a protector." Jace looked at her, confused. Leora touched his face gently. "You're my chosen." He froze. Not from fear, but from what those words meant in her culture. She had just declared him her life mate. And the sword, still glowing, let out a soft, ringing tone. A sound of agreement. Later, Jace stood alone by the fallen matron's side. He lit a single flame in her honor, as the clan sang the song of farewell. The wind returned, but this time it carried not fear, but resolve. The bond had passed a trial of blood. Now only the final path remained, and in the farthest stars, a new enemy began to stir, one far older, far darker than the clans, something that had once feared the guardian blade. Now it wanted it destroyed. The temple was still recovering, smoke had faded, walls were cracked, flowers of mourning had been laid in the hall of the fallen matron. But even through grief, something powerful had begun to grow, hope. Clan Velrix had a new protector, and soon, a new leader. Jace stood before a mirror made of black crystal. His robes were freshly made, half in Velrix silver, half in Earth's deep blue. The guardian sword rested across his back, humming softly like it was proud. He still couldn't believe it. Today was not a battle. Today was a joining. The final bond. The one no outsider had ever reached. Outside, the temple courtyard was filled with people. Aliens from across the star system had come to witness history. Many who once doubted him now stood in respect. Leora waited beneath the binding arch, dressed in flowing white with golden threads, her hair braided in a crown. She was not the scared heir from the market anymore. She was a warrior, a leader, and Jace was her chosen. The bond ceremony began, but as the sword floated between them, something strange happened. It shattered into 1,000 lights, surrounding them both. The lights entered their skin, their hearts, their minds. A shared vision exploded between them. They stood in a field of stars. A being made of pure energy appeared before them, neither human nor alien, but something older than time. "You have done what others feared," it said. "You did not take the blade for power. You lifted it for love." The light spun faster. "You have awoken the last piece of the guardian, not the weapon, but the soul." The lights pulled inward, forming a new sword in midair. This one was smaller, simpler, but brighter. Jace reached out and held it. He felt everything, her heartbeat, her fears, her dreams, and she felt his. The vision faded. They were back. The crowd stared in awe. The new sword hovered between them, then lowered into both their hands. Together, the elder spoke. By blade and bond, by soul and sky, we witness the joining of guardian and heir, human and Velrix, protector and beloved. The crowd bowed. Jace looked at Leora. Are you sure about this? She smiled, her eyes soft and steady. More than anything. And they kissed, not out of duty, not by law, but by choice. Later that night, Jace walked alone through the outer gardens. The stars above Velrix 7 shined brighter than usual. Leora joined him quietly. You know this isn't the end, she said. I know, he answered. There's still more coming, something worse than the clans, she nodded. But now, you won't face it alone. Jace looked at the new sword on his side. This blade isn't just a weapon. No, she said. It's a promise. They stood together hand in hand as the wind carried petals through the sky. Far away, in the cold edge of the galaxy, a black ship stirred. Deep inside, machines whispered, the Guardian has risen again. Then activate the sleepers. Prepare the Void Hunters. The light bond must be broken. Darkness spread like ink. But on Velrix, two souls had already become one. And this time, they were ready.